Hello and welcome to this tour of the CircularSankey web application of Industrial Ecology Freiburg. Creating nice looking Sankey diagrams from raw data is a major effort, and as Sankeys are getting more important, especially in material flow analysis, we also need better tools to help us make those diagrams. At Industrial Ecology Freiburg, we created a web application that does not create perfect Sankey diagrams because we want it to be versatile, but instead it creates raw Sankeys like the one shown here that then need additional polishing in a vector graphics editing program like Inkscape to become presentable. The web application was developed by Mahdi Hassan, our programmer, and here you can read the description of the service and the terms of use. It's important to know that this application is at the development stage. It's already working, but there are many features that definitely need improvement, and we are also happy to receive your feedback under the email address shown at the bottom of the page. So to use the service, you first have to sign up. So we go to the sign up page, and here you will then have to enter your name, and most importantly your username that you need for login, and the password. And please remember your username and password because we do not have a mail server that mails it automatically back to you. So now you're registered, you can go back to the sign in page. And I will sign in with my usual credentials. And then you come to the main page of the application. What you see here are the control tabs. So the first one is the one with the general information about the Sankey, its width, and some controllers for the flows and nodes that we will look into in a moment. The second tab is the data tab. So here we have on the left side the nodes that we define in the Sankeys. They all have a name, a color, an orientation, a width, a height, and a position on the canvas. And on the right side we have the flow table, and the flows all go from one node to the other, and they have a width, so this is the value that's displayed in the Sankey, and also a color, and a flow controlled kind of string that is not active at the moment. And the result of the whole thing is then a Sankey diagram on the canvas. This is an interactive application, so you can actually drag and drop the nodes to rearrange the position of the nodes on the canvas. And as you do that, the change will also show up here in the text box. You can at any time export the Sankey that is shown on the canvas to an SVG file and then continue editing. You can modify the data that are displayed in the Sankey diagram by editing the text in the text boxes. So I can here change the values of flows to different values. I can change the color, or I can also add new flows or just delete them. I would delete a flow by just taking out the line, and I can add a flow, for example taking a line, creating a copy, and then I would have added a new flow. When you click on the preview button, the changes that you just made will show up, and of course it's important to sometimes save the changes that you made. So then you have here the option to save the data into the database. To do that, you need to enter a project name. So let's say this is an example and has a certain description, and then we can save the project into the database. You can access all your projects by clicking on your history, and here you see all the projects that I did before, including the example that we just created, and you can restore the data from the database by clicking on the view item here. So let's take this example again, and then you see it's loaded back from the database, and then you can continue editing it. What you can also do is to save your project under another name. For example, if you create a new version, so let's say this is now version 2, then you would click the Save As button. And when you then go to your history, you can see that the example version 2 has also been saved and you can restore it again. On the Properties tab, you can control some of the global features of the Sankey, like the width of the entire diagram, the opacities of nodes and flows, and for example the background color or the width of the nodes. If you want to create a new project, the best way to do that is to go to the Data tab and just delete everything that is there, maybe except for one line, so that you have a sample for how to write the lines. So let's say we start with node 1, and we know there should be another node 2, which has a slightly different position, and then I will have a flow from node 1 to node 2, and this doesn't look very nice, but of course you can move it on the canvas to change the position of the nodes. Now these nodes are all rotated, as you see, with an angle of 270 degrees. So let's see what happens if we change the angle of one of the nodes. Then you get something like this, and this is already the lower part of a CircularSankey. So let's change the curviness a bit to make it look nicer and drag the position on the canvas. And what we then want is to make a full circle, so maybe we should just copy this line and see what happens if we go from node 2 to node 1, and then we have a full circular flow here. For larger projects or projects that have a frequent updating, it would be very tedious to do all the editing manually here in the text boxes. So for this situation, I recommend then to download the data here, which gives you an Excel file that you can save on your local desktop and edit there. And once you have to do the editing, you can upload the data again here, and then the updated Sankey diagram will be displayed. I'll explain the handling of the Excel template in a separate video, and for now I just wish you a lot of fun with the app.